Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ilemona Onoja. Welcome to And It's Just Tuesday. Today we'll be talking about Nigeria's unemployment problem in its various forms. Unemployment itself, underemployment, and the unemployability of quite a number of people who are in the Nigerian employment market. To talk about this topic with me today, I have my very good friend, Anenih.
Hello, everyone.
And my even better friend, Tracy Okoro. I think it would be important to first of all define unemployment. Unemployment, the various terms that we throw at ourselves when we talk about this, and it tends to confuse the average Nigerian. Unemployment, underemployment, unemployability. What do these things mean? And how do we see them expressed in the context of our everyday lives? Takers, you first.
Okay.
Ladies first.
You will see. Oh, well, I think that for the average Nigerian, who's on the streets, unemployment, there's no work, there's no job. He doesn't know whether he's in the ministry or whether he's selling, he just say there's no work. Or because maybe his market is not selling, he'll say there's no work, there's no market, it's unemployment, I'm unemployed. But I think that the correct definition of unemployment is where there are no jobs, but there are people who can do the job. So that means that there is employability with jobs. Then also there is a place where there are no jobs and there are no people who can do it. And there's also a case where there are jobs and there are too many jobs, but the people who can do it are so little.
I don't think anybody can ever speak about Nigeria in the context of too many jobs. I don't think in the history of this country.
You can. For example, why you can say you can use underemployment in Nigeria is because we haven't just redirected ourselves to where we need to focus as a nation. Okay. What works. And if you want to look at it first, then you look at the types of unemployment. Now, there is the frictional unemployment. There is I'm going to explain it. I'll explain it. There's structural.
Okay.
There is cyclical.
Okay.
There is the technological unemployment. But there's residual, so I'm going to just take a few. Now, frictional is that there are jobs, but people don't know about the existence of these jobs. Or that there are jobs, but there are no skills, or there are no skilled people for these jobs. And the residual is where probably there are jobs, but people can do it because of probably old age. The population is more of people who are elderly, people who are mentally, disabled, people who can't function, people who can't really fit into those jobs. And structural here is where there has been a shift in what the country actually needs, skills, and then the jobs that are provided. And there's a lot I can explain, in the times, but then you figure out that Nigeria is a victim of a lot of these types of unemployment because we have allowed the unemployment issue exacerbate for a long time. Okay. And as much as we want to blame our leaders, I'll blame Nigerians first.
Hold that thought.
Yes.
We'll come back to this specific thought because I almost never agree with it. Ose, talk to me.
My own disclaimer, most of my comments will be coming from the prism of politics and policy, just put it out there. I don't know if I should put my KDP card.
No. Take it off. Let's have this conversation.
Take it off the table.
I just want it to be clear. So for me...
Two thoughts that you should hold.
So for me, it's a lot less technical. It's really simple. Employment or unemployment basically means you want a job, you cannot get a job. Under that, I also classify underemployment. So, for instance, the Empower scheme, to me, is unemployment. It's underemployment because you are putting graduates fresh out of university. They've done their NYSC. They are qualified students, citizens of the world, basically, on a salary of about 28,000 naira a month. I think that's what they're paying them.
So is it about the nature of the salary or the nature of the work?
It's everything. So it's a salary, first of all, 28,000 naira for a graduate. That's first.
That thing didn't even work. I was trying it.
Wait,
it not work.
We're getting somewhere. First of all, the salary is 28,000 naira. It's ridiculous for any graduate for you to offer anybody that. I employ staff. I have a construction company. I don't pay coppers.
Big boy.
I don't pay. No, I'm saying serious jokes apart. I don't pay coppers 28,000 naira. How much it transport to get to where you're going and get to your office and coming back? It's ridiculous. First of all, and then the nature of the jobs. So you have a lawyer who has done 4 years in law school, in university, then maybe 1 year, 5 years law school, do NYSC, and then you take him to one village in Okene. Sorry. I think it's a shame, and to me it sort of reflects the lack of vision in this government, which is a theme I'm going to keep on harping on throughout this conversation.
I'll come at you because you've put your PDP card on the table.
I think I should put it on the table.
But because you've put your PDP, whether you're putting it on the table or not, but you've put it out there.
I'll put it on the table. Just so you know.
Okay, so his PDP card is on the table, so we know where it's coming from. But because your PDP card is on the table, I'll ask you this question.
Yeah.
You've harped on this government twice in your statement.
Yeah.
You've criticized one job creation policy of government.
Yeah.
But we had an unemployment problem before this government. And from when I was a little child, Nigeria has always had an unemployment problem. From when I was a little child. Okay. So is your PDP card putting a bad name on a dog in order to hang it?
Honestly, I wish that was the case. I wish it was just a cosmetic argument I was making. But
thank God you say it's a wish. Okay,
I wish it was.
It's a wish.
It's not. I'm not making a cosmetic argument. Because let me take another society. Let me take, for instance, the UK. The UK has unemployment rates. But what you also do have in the UK is a gradual progression and a serious attempt to reduce those figures. So every successive government comes in and you want to do better than the previous government. They had unemployment rates at maybe 9%. We're going to make it 8%. You look at Trump tweeting every day that unemployment figures in the UK, in the US have never been this low. He's making America great again. That we had a problem previously isn't a reason for us to accept that it's gotten worse. That's my position.
One of the most critical things, and I actually do think you should take away that part.
Take away this part. Let's move on to Thank you.
One of the most critical things, right, that anybody who condemns this government's job creation statistics has to point out is that there is an NBS, a Nigerian Bureau of Statistics report that says that in the president's first year in office, Nigerians lost more than 4 million jobs. And that's a very scary statistic. However, in recent times,
Onoja, let me tell you why there's a problem.
I'm coming.
This same Minister of Information came out and said that it's only 1.5 million people.
Hold on. No, I will pick the NBS, which is proven to be a very efficient agency. I'll pick it over the Minister of Information.
And I think,
hold on. I'll ask my question. This is my show. I'll ask my question. Thank you very much. It's okay. Thank you very much. I'm in order. Control. The eyes have it. I'll say this to you. Now, there are two competing things. There's the one thing that says, more than 4 million Nigerians, I think it was 4.54 million Nigerians, it was 4-point-something million Nigerians lost their jobs in the first 1 year. Now, we have a recent report that says 3 million jobs have been created in the last 1 year. That second report.
Which report?
Which report?
That second. I can't even remember. Yes, there was a statement.
There was no report.
There was not a report. There was a statement.
Mr. Lai.
Assuming we take both that way, right? Does that mean that we just went backwards and then took 2 steps back and took 1 step forward? Because the number of job losses is not commensurate to the number of jobs created.
Let me be quick to state that we have more than 15.2 unemployed people.
15.2 million unemployed people.
Just so that when we're having this conversation, we're not dealing with the 3 and the 4.
I don't want us to give the present government a pass, or they were not aware of the problem. I think one of their campaign promises, because they were aware of the problem,
Also,
was
we
that
create
they said
3 million
create
jobs a year.
3 million jobs every year. So 2015, they're supposed to have created 3 million.
No, well, they didn't take over in.
2015 to 2016 March now, let's
Yeah,
say.
okay.
3
So-
million. Second year, another 3 million. So we should have had.
At this point, we should have a minimum of 4.5 million.
Assuming no job losses,
We
6
should have
million
had
jobs should have been created.
7.5 million jobs.
So they knew there was a problem. So if you know there was a problem and you come in and every single step you take worsens the problem.
What causes Nigeria's unemployment? Is it our population growth? Because we're growing at well, respectfully, before people get angry with me, but we're growing at a very alarming rate, right? And live births per annum far exceeds, the passings on per annum. So is it our growth rate? Is it that we haven't focused on productivity enough? Are we more of a consumer nation solely? Have we failed, refused, or neglected to enter into an industrial stage that ensures that we create more jobs? Or is it that our education is simply not good enough? What is it, Tracy?
Okay. You mentioned of a population,
Yeah.
which is actually a good source. But I'm not going to harp on it because the government has done that job. So let me leave the government to continue on that. Well done, government. But look at my conversation here. Is one of the things I mentioned when I was explaining unemployment and the types of unemployment, structural, technology. Now, we haven't evolved with the time. So what the country needs now is not what the country needed 5 years ago. It's not what the country needed 10 years ago. When the oil boom happened, you wanted to talk about oil. I'm here now. When the oil boom happened, half of my class in university, everybody was doing petroleum engineering. Petroleum, anywhere you go. Scholarships were given to petroleum engineers, masters, everybody was. So we had a country filled with petroleum engineers, people that were looking for oil jobs, and we didn't cater for the other aspects of the economy. So the world left us behind. The economy left us behind. But you see, we didn't understand that we were going to need these people. Why? Our infrastructure, what we had 10, 15 years ago, we were going to need to build better ones that are now globally accepted. But we didn't train architects, we didn't train structural engineers, we trained petroleum engineers. So that's it.
So there's a skills gap.
Thank you. So we have a gap right there of the jobs that we need to put out there right now. The jobs that we need to be creating is not the jobs that we're creating. We're still creating jobs in ministries that are unproductive. If you go to the ministry now, people are selling material, selling buff and jewelry by the side. Why? They really don't have anything they're doing there. Why? Because the ministry there should have evolved to do better things.
Jose,
What's the question again?
what is the cause of our unemployment?
Short answer, Buhari. Short answer.
No, but hold on. You cannot. Buhari has been president for 2 years.
Who is Buhari?
Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari. President Muhammadu Buhari has been president. Okay, hold on. President Muhammadu Buhari has been president for 2 years.
Thank you.
Is he the sum total? Are you saying that there are 15.2 million unemployed people because of his last 2 years of governance?
Short answer. It's a complicated response I'm going to give. Short answer.
Uncomplicated.
It's a complicated answer. Short answer, just in case they're editing. President Buhari is the cause of our problem right now. Slightly longer answer is a recession. When you have a recession, the economy contracts, jobs are lost. It's like night and day.
That's the cyclical.
It's stating the obvious. Who caused the recession? Again, with all due respect, President Buhari, right?
I'm going to interrupt you. No, hold on. My show. The eyes have it. I'm going to ask you a question. Hold on. I'm going to ask you a question. There was on the average, 7% GDP growth for the last 10 years before President Buhari got into office. Hold on.
No.
Before President Buhari got into office,
President
Buhari himself, speaking at Chatham before the elections, testified to the fact that there had been an average 7% GDP growth per annum in the 10 years before he got into office. However, despite this GDP growth, we still had people who were unemployed and underemployed. Are you saying that President Buhari is somehow responsible for that?
No, what I am saying that every society will always have a level of criminality, a level of unemployment, a level of underemployment, and progressively you talk about 7%,
Improving
you
or
improve
getting
those
worse.
statistics. So if the statistics tank out because you become president, we'll hold you responsible. Very specific, like I said, there was a recession, we lost jobs. We are out of the recession now. If we define a recession as 2 consecutive quarters of growth. The only reason we're out of the recession is not because of any policy changes. It's simply because the price of oil went up to 60. So I don't know, the MBS have recently released statistics on sectoral performances of GDP. Almost every single sector is negative. We're out of the recession, but everything is negative. Trade is negative, telecommunications is negative, transport is negative, accommodation and services is negative. Almost every sector is shrinking. But it's been masked because we're enjoying $60 oil at the moment. And we pretend there's no problem. And that is why we have the unemployment figures will continue getting worse because oil only makes up about 10% of our GDP. So you have 90% of our economy is shrinking. Jobs are still being lost every single day. Our population is growing, and we're patting ourselves on the back that President Buhari has brought us out of the recession. We are not serious.
I'll do this again. Now, let us pick, since you said sectoral performances, let us pick his perhaps best performing sector, agriculture.
Okay.
Agricultural GDP has held, stable, and has improved.
I'm happy you brought up agriculture.
So tell me, now don't you think that he deserves... No, we have to bring it up. Is the strongest sectoral performance hold on, is President Buhari's strongest sectoral performance in terms of the economy. And the man keeps saying it. We need to grow what we eat. Now, if agricultural GDP has held and has improved, maybe the man is right. Maybe we should just focus, leave all these other things, and go and grow what we eat.
Agricultural performance might have held. I don't think it has improved.
It hasn't.
That's first of all.
It hasn't.
It has improved from 2016.
Yes.
Not from 2011 or 2012. From 2016. So for me, it's no improvement. Secondly, we talk about the agricultural transformation as if it's a new thing. Nigeria is the 6th largest agricultural country in the world. We're already 6th. So there isn't much. We are.
There's not much headroom.
There's literally nothing more we can do if we continue.
No, but this
subsistence farming that we are doing, because that's what we are doing. It's about. I think the word that we're missing now is productivity. I saw Baba. I saw Baba's recent visit to his farm. I saw a picture of him and his cows, and it disappointed me.
Wow.
Because for me, that's not the vision I have for Nigeria. I have a child. I have a son. He's 9 years old. He's in primary 5. He's in a school abroad. He's learning coding. Right?
People are part of the people that are doing
Hold on. We need to have a conversation about migration. He's learning computer coding. I help him with his homework. I have to learn computer coding because I don't know what they're talking about. He's learning Spanish. He's learning Mandarin.
Wow.
My daughter, his sister that's 5, she's learning French. And we are competing in the same global space with these guys. Are we serious at all? We had almost a breakthrough moment when the Facebook guy came here and shone a spotlight on Nigeria as when we're supposed to be like maybe the heart of tech innovation in Africa. We did nothing with it. It's still Andela. It's still
Tracy. President Buhari's agricultural sector performance being hailed by a lot of people as strong, production is increasing. We're exporting produce.
And Anenih for helping unemployment.
Olam did the rice. Kebbi's, the Lagos and Kebbi State Alliance produced Lake Rice. Olam's rice mill and production line created in Kaduna. And stuff like that. The exportation of yam to the UK, stuff like that. So it seems as though
all these private sector initiatives.
Hold on. But they're influenced by government. There's a specific.
No, I just want to.
You said your own.
There's a specific government policy.
I asked the question.
What's the question?
The specific government
do you
policy
think
I'm aware
it is
of.
good enough? Do you think that the implementation of these sorts of plans are enough to substantially reduce Nigeria's unemployment problem?
No.
Wow.
Because we're still dealing with the basics.
She didn't even think about it. She just went.
I remember when I told you one of the things that has caused unemployment. Now, farming, for us to be able to produce the amount of food that we can eat and export, we need to really, really, really invest in proper technologies of farming. What he was trying to talk about.
One of the things that shocks me, just on that point you go on, one of the things that shocks me is that Benue State produces enough food and fruit to feed this whole country. But as much as 70% of the produce from Benue State every year is wasted simply because of lack of processing, storage, and transportation facilities.
But you know that the better people have been singing this song, see that the city has cracked. It's not like the government does not know about this, but look at what I'm saying. Do they care about these metrics? Do they understand how much it will work? If you have, my father will always say something that you can't give what you don't have. If you came into power on the basis of, look at what I want to do, and you sat down with your analysts, your group of people, and you said, how can we get to this? When you get into power, you already have a plan. But this current government, this current president, went into power on the small screen, the dust of military valor. It's a general Buhari.
I'm going to
so we applauded, fantastic. That's what he did, No, there's no need for you to defend it. I allowed you to talk when you wanted to talk now. So just allow me to, do you understand? That's what he came into power with. And that's what we applauded. I remember saying to my father that this is not going to work. Now, every time I go to my father's house, he's sitting with his hand on his chin saying, this is not what we bargained for. This is not what, but you see, the man himself is not actually giving you what you didn't bargain for. He came into power saying that from what he was before, this is what he will give. He didn't do any lecture, didn't, improve himself. No, let me explain. Let me tell you why it's coming. It's not referendum matter. Look at it.
It's what?
Because if he had more, then he would have brought in a group of people. Because see, what you know is what will influence what you do. He would have brought in a group of people that would have come with ideas, concepts that would break us out of what we're doing. Because, for example, we've been doing the same thing right now. And that's why, people are losing their jobs. They haven't changed, and they're not planning to change. But you see, Minister Lai, thank you, sir.
Sorry, not the problem. The problem has been constant. Thank you very much.
Solution.
Which brings us to the next question. Will resolving Nigeria's power challenges help greatly resolve our employment problem? I'll explain. I know someone who has a small restaurant in Lagos that he's run for a year, from November 2016 to November 2017. And he was telling me that he wanted to expand during the course of that year, but was unable to do so because of the high cost of his overheads. His biggest overhead was power. He spent, in a restaurant that sits 20 people, spent 3 million naira in 1 year providing power for himself. Of course, that's going to affect the cost of his product. So, if we resolve Nigeria's power problem, will we take a big step towards resolving Nigeria's employment problem? You first.
Short answer, yes.
Long answer.
I don't think it will happen. Because I don't think the guys in power realize that that's a problem they need to tackle head on.
Say have faith, small
No,
faith.
I'm saying it's not faith. You see it. It's not. I don't think it's as important to them. So I don't think it will be resolved.
I don't. Take into consideration
yes,
that some of Nigeria's highest power production has been done under this government, under the current administration. Take into consideration as well.
I will fact check it.
What they said or what it is?
I'm only dealing with the government's claims. The government's claims. I'm only going to state the government's claims as they have stated them. And so Nigeria's highest power generation tops 5,500 megawatts only last weekend. I think it was 5,800 and something megawatts. Highest. So, and we have quite a number of major projects that are coming into play in 2018. Taking again into consideration that government has taken the Mambilla hydropower project and has put together a structure that ensures that it kicks off very soon construction, and then we can get to a point where we get 3,000 megawatts of power from that place. I'm not asking, are you saying that this government, with taking into consideration some of these steps, is not serious about resolving Nigeria's power problem?
I think Mambilla was just signed. I don't know if it's been financed.
It hasn't been financed. That's why I said put a structure.
It's not.
I think they're pushing the business case
in the next 3 years. Let's forget about it. We're not seeing it in this administration. Forget Mambilla.
Yeah, but I mean, if the administration puts it in process, regardless of whichever administration takes over, have they not done something towards resolving Nigeria's power problem?
Let me
Tracy,
come in here. One of the problems of unemployment, or one of the problems of unemployment is no access to certain basic amenities. For example, if I have a company that I want to expand, like you said, I'm looking at how will I be able to pay this person? How will I be able to do this? Roads, if I'm going to increase my business, I should get more of the products and sell. But because I'm still having problem with transporting the ones I'm bringing, no, I cannot do it. Light, basic things. But look at my computer. For example, I needed to tie in this thing, the migration crisis that just rocked. Everybody's just doing it. Twitter, we are singing migration. I remember when we started this program, I said I was going to blame Nigerians for the reason for unemployment.
Yeah, I was going to come there.
It's because the government we have, we deserve it. We should embrace it with love. We should be happy that we get it, because that is what we have built of ourselves. We have not built a country that is truly ready to hold its government accountable, that is truly ready to enjoy the dividends of democracy.
I want to ask one question. Education as a solution to our unemployment. I saw a statistic in 2011. I asked that question when they did the what about us, when EIE did the debate. I asked the question. In 2010, I think it was, either 2010 or 2011, right? 2011. South Korea formulated a policy that said it wanted all textbooks in their institutions, in all institutions in South Korea, to be fully digital by the year 2015. That by the year 2015, they didn't want to have a single paper textbook. That same year, WAEC, May-June was marked. No, the previous year, sorry, May-June WAEC, there was a 90% failure rate at the first marking of WAEC. It had to be remarked so that some people could be let go. We see constantly pictures of the deplorable state of our schools. We see constant strikes. We see our schools churn out graduates that are simply not worth the certificates that they're given. The paper, the quality of their education is not worth the paper of the certificate that they're given. Two questions arise from this place. One, is our educational system deliberately set up to create people who are unemployable, and so it furthers our employment crisis? Two, if we resolve our education and make it better, increase funding, better train teachers, fire the teachers who are unproductive, who lack the required skills, and employ better ones, improve the state of our schools, you know what I mean. Better fund, better oil the education sector. Will we take concrete steps towards resolving our unemployment crisis? Ose.
Yes. I would say what happens is societies evolve. The world evolves. You mentioned young people now who may travel or may just be aware of their environment, and they do not ascribe to the values older leaders might be trying to sell. I think societies evolve. I don't think our educational system has kept pace with that evolution. So I don't think there's any deliberate attempt to
short circuit,
to produce defective citizens, graduates. But I just think our educational curriculum is not fit for purpose in today's society. That's what I think. And for me, I think education, the role it plays, it's more powerful as a tool to lift people out of poverty generally. Speaking of poverty, I checked our minimum wage. It's about 18,000, I think. That's now with 365. I don't know what the exchange rate is to the dollar is. We are basically living, our minimum wage is below the poverty line. I see education as a tool, one of the tools to take people out of poverty, to create jobs. But it's not
education, skills acquisition.
Skill acquisition, but it's not. I don't think by itself. It's just one. It's one tool that will fix everything. It's education. It's early access to healthcare. Even if it's just a government that sells the idea that you can achieve, regardless of your station in life. Which was one thing I did like about Jonathan's "I had no shoes" message, because what it said was, regardless of where you come from, you can reach the top. I don't think those messages are pushed out as much. So what usually happens is you find yourself in a rut, and you do not struggle to get yourself out of it, because these things require effort, not just on the part of the government, but on part of citizens who want to improve their lives. So you need to want to learn, you need to want to make your environment better, you need to want to provide more than you had for your children and the rest.
10 million, no, 12, it was 10 million a few years ago, significantly more than 10 million now. But let's use that base figure because that's what I'm sure of. 10 million out of school children in northern Nigeria. Disaster waiting to happen, because these are kids who will not be able to learn the skills required to get decent, meaningful employment in the future, in the very near future, who are potentially dangerous to our society. Solution.
Okay. I'm going to link this to your previous question with Ose, how education can help. We need to start doing more practical-based teaching than theories. Because our curriculum has been set up for the better curriculum now, for the schools that are trying to, stretch and reorganize their curriculum. We need to look at more entrepreneurial programs that can provide skills to help the Nigeria of now, the Nigerian of now for the Nigeria of today. For example, we've opened up into the startup world, new businesses and all that. Can I not go to university to learn how to be a cobbler? Can I not go to school to learn how to go into to buying books? How to do a lot of other things. That's the first thing I'm going to. So we need to change from the theory-based education system to the practical system. Because, for example, we see the agriculture. Went to school, we were taught how to, just go to farm and they'll say our teachers, after a while they'll harvest it, they'll carry the crops home. But then we went, and that was it. We didn't transfer that, even though my family, they tried to do it. But then most other people didn't do it. So linking it with this 10 million out of school children, if we still put them in the same school where they don't learn how to do what Nigeria needs now, they will come out to be unemployed. They will just have certificates, but they cannot actually be employed. So my solution will be that we take a look at our curriculum again. and make it more entrepreneurial based, so that even if I don't get employed in a ministry or a company, I can start up. Because now my mind is opened up into concepts, ideas, how I can live a sustainable lifestyle for myself, how I can create jobs for other people. So we would have 10 million children that will be trained on how to cater for themselves, to create jobs by themselves, and not how to expect the government to create jobs.
Okay, so time is up. We have to go. The ayes have it. Yes, the ayes have it. It has been an absolute pleasure talking with my good friend Anenih and my even better friend Tracy Okoro, even though she denied me.
No, it's my friend now. It's my friend.
So we have to keep the conversation going. The reality is that Nigeria has an employment problem, an employment crisis, that we don't feel that Nigeria as a socio-political entity is doing enough to resolve. The reality also is that this is a time bomb waiting to happen. And as much as we make noise about Nigeria's youth population, the reality also is that in a few years, this population will be an aged population that is unable to cater for itself, unable to meet its financial obligations, and unable to provide for the offspring that have replaced us. Something has to be done soon, and we hope that we'll be able to contribute to what is being done by conversations such as this. Thank you very much for joining us on And It's Just Tuesday. My name is Ilemona. See ya.